Hello, everybody. Dr. Julie McLaughlin here. I am super excited to be with you today. And we are here with empowering women from ChiroSecure. And we want to make sure that we thank them. We want to do little hearts. We want to do thumbs up because they have made this possible for us to bring you great information of all the things we're doing. So we are going to be talking about how to make the invisible visible. And I have a few slides for you that I'd like to share. And let's get started. So, when we're talking about making the invisible visible, right, what's with that? So, what's the most important thing you can do right now to improve your health and your practice? That's my question for you today. What is that most important thing? Now, we know that in 2020, we got a big invisible, right? The COVID. No one saw it coming. You can't see it. It's a virus, of course. It's something that's invisible. But guess what? What if we knew about it? What if we knew what to do about it? What if we could see it, right? So think about this. In 2020, COVID deaths was the third top deaths in the country, right? In the United States, it was third, but it was third. And this is a global pandemic. Look at the first two, heart disease and cancer. We had more than double the number of people die from cancer and heart disease than they did of COVID. And guess what? Before the pandemic, we had people dying of heart disease and cancer. And you know what? Those are invisible things too, aren't they? Nobody wakes up and says, today's the day I'm going to have a heart attack. Today's the day I'm going to have cancer. Nobody says that. But what if you could get clues? What if you could make it visible and get clues to know to predict it, that it may be coming, or that you were even at risk for it, or it was even a possibility? And if that was the case, what if you could fix it before it ever happened? I think we could really, really lower our death rate in this United States. So take a look at this. This is from the fourth quarter of 2019 all the way to the third quarter of 2020. And this is overall death rate in the United States. Now we see in that last quarter that the death rate went up, right? And you can say, well, that was because of COVID. But wait a minute. Guess what? COVID wasn't the only thing increasing the cause of death. Guess what it is? It was heart disease. We had a 4.8% increase of people dying from heart disease in the last quarter of 2020. We had a 10% increase of people dying from diabetes and unintentional injuries. Now, what do we treat? We treat injuries, right? What about diabetes and heart disease? Those are things that are total preventable. Why did that happen? Why is this happening in our country where we have these conditions that increased during a pandemic? Well, guess what? People stopped getting care. People thought the only thing that was around in the world was COVID. And we all know way before COVID happened, they all had heart disease and they all had diabetes, but they weren't getting care from it. They all had back pain and they weren't getting care from it. Things were shut down. Like here in Illinois, everything was shut down. Or maybe in your state, the people just weren't coming out. Maybe you were open and they weren't coming out, but people stopped getting care. And that's really, really caused a huge problem. So what if we could make the invisible visible, right? The invisible gained momentum when no one was paying attention, when no one was monitoring it, when no one was checking it, right? So when was the last time you had your blood checked? I ask all my patients this, and doc, I'm asking you this because it's time to take care of you. Because if you don't take care of you, you're not going to be around to be helping anybody else. So when was the last time? Because guess what? Having your labs done is how you're going to make the invisible visible. And I'm going to show you just how that happens. I'm going to show you a quick case study here, how we do things in our practice, right? And how we do things with vital health protocols. We do the same thing that we do with our chiropractic patients. We do a little risk assessment, a personal history. We get all their demographics or family histories, if they're taking medications or supplements. We get all their day one stuff, right? So here we have a 54-year-old white menopausal woman. She's a normal BMI. So she wasn't obese. She didn't gain the quarantine 15, right? She came in just for a wellness, her yearly check with her labs. She is taking a statin, but she doesn't have any allergies. She's a non-smoker, occasional drinker, exercises twice a week. She does have a family history of heart disease and diabetes, but overall, she's super, super healthy. We're just doing it to find out how her wellness is so we could predict and we could prevent. And when we look at this, we looked at some advanced lab markers and come to find out 2 of the 3, she has some markers for heart disease. She has some markers for blood clotting, which can lead to stroke. She didn't know it, right? So this was invisible. Now, if she woke up and she had a heart attack, she wouldn't have known, like, why? How did this start? But now we can work on turning it off because we know those things are no longer invisible to us. So when we looked at her cholesterol was really high. Her bad cholesterol was really high. The quality of the bad cholesterol was really high, right? She's taking a statin. How could this be, right? I thought statins cured this, right? That genetic marker, the statins can't touch it. So still she's at risk. But there's things that you can do with lifestyle if you know what to look for and if you know what's wrong. And guess what? She's pre-diabetic. She had no idea. We let this go, let's say 3 months, like the end of the last year quarter, right? She'd be full-blown diabetic. Now, she was taking supplements. You can see she was taking vitamin D, she was taking B12, she was taking folic acid, but she still had these silent things going on in the background. She hadn't been checked in a long time. And even her liver enzymes were up. She had a liver inflamed. Now, no one's going to walk in your office and like, hey, doc, my liver's bothering me today. Right? They can't feel it. It's invisible. But once you uncover it, there's something you can do. Right? Think about this. 80% of her cholesterol is produced in the liver. Of course, the liver's inflamed. She's got an issue there. So you want to make recommendations to reverse and prevent chronic disease, just like we do with our musculoskeletal subluxation patients. We want to reverse what they have going on right now, and we want to prevent them from having any issues in the future. That's why we have maintenance care. It's the same thing with the stuff on the inside of us, right? But to do this, first, we had to see that invisible. We had to be able to predict the risk, right? So you wouldn't know what was wrong with a patient unless you examined them, unless you palpated them, unless you worked them up to find out what's causing them. But what if it's invisible, right? We can feel with our hands. We have the best hands in the world as chiropractors, and we can feel these problems with our hands. But what if someone blindfolded you and you couldn't touch that patient and you couldn't examine that patient? Would you know what was wrong with them? No. But by not looking at your own labs, that's what's happening, right? So I want to tell you, I want you to see the invisible. So if you have not done your labs, doc, in the last year, I want you to get them done. If you or your family member or friends are suffering with chronic health issues, I want you to get them done. Because really, what are you waiting for? And the implication of not doing this is what we really need to think about. So how are we going to live with that disease? If we're not going to check it, you better start thinking about, well, how am I going to live if I had a stroke or a heart attack or heart disease or diabetes? Think about what that would look like, right? Because we're not going to drug our way back out of this problem. And banking on a cure for all the causes of chronic disease is like planning for your retirement with lottery tickets, right? You may win big, but chances are you're not going to. So why not look and see what's there? Because it's a starting line, it's a baseline, and you can reverse it. So it's not out of your reach. It's easy, it's inexpensive, and it could just save a life, including your own. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to answer questions because I really, really want, as a profession, to be the healthiest profession out there. One of my friends was recently telling me some statistics that an insurance company told her, and that as chiropractors, we're creeping into, that mainstream where we're not as healthy as we should be as healthcare providers. So, as healthcare providers, we should be the healthiest out there. And we want to, of course, always look at the musculoskeletal system, always get adjusted, but we also got to look at that invisible. So thank you, ChiroSecure, for having us. And I want you guys to be sure to join in 2 weeks again with Empowering Women, sponsored by ChiroSecure. So have a great day, and you guys get your labs checked, okay? Bye-bye.
Join us each week as we bring you the best in business growth, practice management, social media marketing, networking, leadership, and lots more. If it's about women in practice and business, you'll hear it here. We hope you enjoyed this week's Facebook Live event. Please like us on Facebook, comment, and share. We look forward to seeing all of you next week for another episode of Empowering Women in Chiropractic. Now, go ahead and hit the share button and tell your friends and colleagues about the show. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day. This has been a ChiroSecure production.